Say kol hakavod to Ezra for your beautiful laning, for chanting our Haftarah. It's wonderful to celebrate with Ezra, but we have another celebration this morning as well. This morning we celebrate our annual, what we call our Tiny Treasures. This is a yearly opportunity to welcome the newest members of our community, those babies who have been born within the past year, along with their exhausted and excited parents and their family. Given the world that we've been living in this past year, this ceremony feels particularly meaningful. It brings us much nachas and fills us with great hope to see so many children and so many families who are dedicating themselves to raising Jewish children here at Bethel. This is not a light thing to be taken for granted. Our Parsha Bechukotai makes that point explicitly. The first half, as Ezra told us, the first half of the Parsha, chapter 26, we read through what's called the Tochacha. It's a passage of curses that Randy read beautifully and very quickly. Sadly, they sound all too real and familiar. These curses describe a time of illness and disease and starvation, as well as enemies who put the Jewish people to sword. One verse in particular stands out. The Torah speaks of an attack by wild beasts. Not only do they destroy our crops and our flocks, they, quote, bereave parents of their children. Is there possibly anything worse? Parents desperately trying but unable to protect their children who are being attacked by people who are acting like wild beasts. This chapter of curses stands in stark contrast to what follows. The last chapter of Vayikra, of the book of Leviticus, chapter 27, it's all about arachim, valuations. It's a bit of a difficult chapter to understand and can also be somewhat off-putting. It can be tedious reading through. It feels like you're reading an actuarial table. This chapter describes voluntary donations to the temple based on the age of the donor, and they were divided into 4 age categories. So those who were 1 month to 5 years old were to pay 5 shekels. Those 5 years to 20 years old were to pay 20 shekels. 20 to 60-year-old paid 50 shekels. And those 60 years and older were eligible for a senior discount. They only paid 15 shekels. You'll notice that no amount was set for babies under 1 month old because that was considered to be the age of viability. Although we fervently believe that every human life is priceless, we also live in the real world, and so we understand that there are times when a value is actually placed on a life. For example, when it comes to the hostage negotiations right now, Israel has to decide on the cost and how much they are willing to trade. Indeed, some commentators connect this very passage to Pidyon Shvuim, the redemption of captives. But the question that stands out to me this morning is the relationship between chapter 26, the blessings and curses, and chapter 27, the valuations. How do we go from a long description of curses inflicted on the Jewish people to a discussion about donations to the temple? Our Chumash, our Eitz Chaim, explains, one commentary sees this connection even after all of the calamities predicted in chapter 26, there will still be Jews dedicated to God's sanctuary and to God. In other words, despite the curses, people will still want to connect to community. And we see evidence of that right here at Bethel. You see, people could have responded to events of the past months by fleeing Jewish spaces, by distancing themselves from Jewish community. Instead, we have more people showing up, more people participating, more people in search of community, more people involved in Jewish learning and Jewish tradition. I think that's the case because here at Bethel, with our enhanced security measures, we feel physically safe, and because here we feel at home, nourished intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, and socially. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't point out that the Torah here is talking about arachim, about financial contributions to the sanctuary, even at a time of curses. In Jerusalem, these were yearly voluntary donations for the upkeep of the temple, the materials that were used, the building, and the clergy itself. And the connection here should be quite obvious. I won't belabor the point. In a few weeks, you will be receiving a letter from me and from Sally about your own annual support of Bethel, and I hope that you will read it and respond generously. My larger message, though, is exactly what our commentary in our Chumash says, that even after all of the calamities, there will still be Jews dedicated to the sanctuary and to God. And we see that with our tiny treasure ceremony. It would be very easy to walk away. We could understand if some parents did. Indeed, sometimes it feels like a curse to be Jewish. But in our long and sometimes tortured history, we have learned to turn curses into blessings. What could have been a greater curse for the Jewish people than slavery in Egypt? It could have left us vengeful and bitter. Instead, it inspires us to fight for freedom. What could have been a greater curse for the Jewish people than the destruction of the temple? But we transform curses into blessings by replacing sacrifice with prayer, temple with synagogue, and leadership based on lineage to leadership based on learning. What could be a greater curse for the Jewish people than the Shoah, a third of all Jews murdered? And yet within a few years, we rose up from the ashes and established the state of Israel and developed thriving diaspora communities. Chavarim, you remember from the beginning of the book of Exodus, where we read, the more the Israelites were oppressed, the more they increased and spread. And that is one of our defining characteristics as a people. The worse things get, the stronger we become. You see, Jewish history is not merely a story of Jews enduring catastrophes that might have wiped out a less tenacious people. It's also the message that after every disaster, Jews have renewed themselves, and we witnessed that this morning. You see, these parents have chosen to bring new life into our world and into our community. Our job as a community is to welcome them into a place where they learn and grow as Jews, and in the face of curses, where we stand strong, where we teach them resilience, and where we together renew our people. And so let us turn our attention to our tiny treasures. And as they enter, I want to thank Sarah Konfeld, the director of our Olive Preschool, and Louis Stein, the director of our Young Family Programs, for all that they do to make our newborns and their parents and their families feel welcome here at Bethel.
Heveinu shalom aleichem, Heveinu shalom aleichem, Heveinu shalom aleichem, Heveinu shalom, shalom, shalom aleichem, Heveinu shalom aleichem, Heveinu shalom aleichem, Heveinu shalom aleichem, Heveinu shalom, shalom, shalom aleichem, Heveinu shalom aleichem, Heveinu shalom aleichem, Heveinu shalom aleichem, Heveinu shalom, shalom, shalom aleichem. Aleph bet vet,
Aleph bet vet,
Gimel dalet hey,
Gimel dalet hey,
Vav zayin chet tet,
Vav zayin chet tet,
Yud kaf chaf,
Yud kaf kaf,
Lamed mem nun,
Lamed mem nun,
Samech ayin pei fei,
Samech ayin pei fei,
Tzadik kuf resh,
Tzadik kuf resh,
Shin sin tam.
Bruchim habayim tachat kanfei Hashekhinah. Bruchot habaot tachat kanfei Hashekhinah. May you be blessed beneath the wings of Shekhinah. Be blessed with love, be blessed with peace. May you be blessed beneath the wings of Shekhinah. Be blessed with love. Be blessed with peace. For years, Amanda has led this tiny treasure ceremony. Can you believe, Amanda, that Ezra was once this tiny treasure of yours? Now he's a bigger treasure. We'd like to invite you to come forward to offer the blessing using the tune that you and Barak wrote, the Birkat Eladim.
Yesimcha Elohim k'Ephraim v'chi Menashe. May God make you like Ephraim and Menashe. Yesimech Elohim k'Sara Rivka Rachel v'Leah. May God make you like Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. Yevarechecha Adonai, ve'yishmerecha Ya'er Adonai panav elecha, v'chuneka Yisa Adonai panav elecha, ve'yasim lecha shalom.
Okay, we can remove the palaces.
Just want to start by naming that we know statistically that there are people in this room who wanted and expected to be up here for Tiny Treasures this year and are not. And to remind you that a fertility journey can be a fickle, difficult thing, and that we as the shul, as the clergy, are here to be as much or as little a part of that as you want. I'd like to share a midrash and a blessing. When Israel stood to receive the Torah, the Holy One said to them, "I'm prepared to give you my Torah. Present to me good guarantors that you will observe and study the Torah, and I shall give it to you." They said, "Our ancestors will be our guarantors." The Holy One, the Kadosh Baruch Hu, said, "Your ancestors are not sufficient guarantors. Bring me good guarantors, and I shall give you the Torah." They said, "Master of the universe, our prophets are our guarantors." The Kadosh Baruch Hu said, "The prophets are not sufficient guarantors. Bring me good guarantors, and I shall give you the Torah." They said, "Indeed, our children will be our guarantors." The Holy One said, "Your children are good guarantors. For their sake, I shall give you the Torah. Al yedehem et nena lachem. For their sake, I will give you the Torah." As we approach Shavuot, I feel like I should be facing you all more. As we approach Shavuot and we celebrate God's giving our people the Torah at Mount Sinai, we take the opportunity to reflect on the special, unique, important relationship between parent and child. And today of all days, as we celebrate our community's tiny treasures, we welcome the newest iterations of that relationship, our community's newest babies. Just as you, parents, commit to teaching, loving, and supporting your delicious babies, so too do we, your community, take the opportunity to commit to teaching, loving, and supporting you. My prayer today is that these children grow up feeling like they own this place. May they laugh in our hallways, run up to this bima for candy. May they leave crumbs on the floor after Kiddush and then learn to pick them up. And may they even sit through a whole sermon one day. May they see that Bethel is their parents' community, and may they feel that Bethel is now their home too. May their hearts be filled with curiosity and appreciation for all God's creations. May God watch over them in love and bless them with health now and forever. And let us all say Amen. Amen. I'll ask now grandparents and siblings, and maybe other excited family members too, if there are, to rise where you are and join Cantor Tisser and myself, thanking God for allowing us to reach this moment with the words of Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Amen.